What everyday skill becomes suspicious if you're too good at it? Remembering someone else's schedule. I've had people get a little freaked out when I ask how specific appointment/task is going, when I remember them telling me about it days prior. Mine's isn't so much the schedule, but the random little things people tell me about themselves. I got a friend her favorite DVD as a random present, and I was like, why? Are you shocked you told me it was your favorite film like 2 years ago? I was going to Disneyland and I wanted to bring back something for my favorite manager. I asked her who her favorite Disney character was, and she said Dumbo, because she loves elephants. Skip ahead to 10 months later on my last day at that store, I got her a card with an elephant on it. She looked shocked and asked me how I knew her favorite animal was an elephant. Yet I can barely remember what I eat for breakfast sometimes. You must have the memory of an elephant. Tying a noose. At basic training I got tasked to help the drill sergeants create their haunted house battalion competition. Long story, my drill asked if anyone knew how to tie a noose, and I whipped out a perfect one in only a few seconds. He just looked at me and said, "Private, what the duck?" From what I know about drill sergeants, I was expecting him to make fun of your suicidal tendencies for the next week. Edit. Jesus Christ, I know they aren't allowed to actually say that, you ducks. Private, if you can't pick up the pace you might as well go through with it. Being able to quickly convert between ounce and gram. Mom, the recipe calls for an ounce of flour. Me, I weighed it out and left it just shy of an ounce, don't need to catch a felony charge. Mom, what? Me, what? Hey son, let's drink your first beer together. Me, slams beer. I once had a neighbor catch me while I was taking groceries out of my car and ask if I knew how to open locked doors as they locked themselves out by mistake. Went over to their door, took out a credit card, and shimmied my way in no more than 5 seconds. Probably was bittersweet for them. My boss locked herself out of the shop last week and I did this. We are getting new locks and a security system now. But if you had told her how easy it is a week ago, she wouldn't have given a shit. Remembering things about a person from a few months/years ago when the person herself can't remember about it. You just look like a stalker and it's frustrating. I have this problem. I intentionally pretend to forget things about people half the time to make myself seem more normal. Like, it's freakish how good my memory is. Till Reddit thinks that lockpicking is an everyday skill. I think it's the opposite, to be honest. I took up lockpicking as a hobby and people think it's weird and get off put. But practice enough and become a locksmith. Nobody would judge. Walking quietly. I used to practice being a ninja at primary school. Eventually I would walk nearly silently regardless of what shoes I wore. Now at work and constantly scaring people even when carrying things, since I walk a lot quieter than they are used to in heavy boots. I don't think I walk silently, I just don't climb around like a dinosaur, yet everyone says I'm creeping up on them. Lol, my most upvoted comment is a typo for clomping. 5/7. What has my life become? I have very fast reading comprehension. People never believe me when I say that I've already read it and get frustrated that I don't take longer. I can't do simple math, but I read like lightning. I'm also very good with card handling, so everyone suspects that I cheat at poker. I encourage that because it keeps their eyes on my hands and not on my face. My mom can speed read like that and it drives me nuts. One morning I gave her a book I had read because I found it interesting, The Wealthy Barber. While we are watching TV, I hardly noticed her glancing at the book and she proceeds to toss it on the coffee table. Oh, I finished reading it. Holy shit, 25 minutes at most. Given it's a fairly small book, 150 pages, it took me weeks to get around to finishing what she hardly flinched at. Crazy skill. Being a very persuasive salesperson. Ugh, if someone is too convincing, I just assume they are trying to scam me. Being persuasive can involve hiding the fact that you're being convinced. Eavesdropping. I just passively listen to other people a lot when I'm alone, even if I'm doing something else. It gets really embarrassing when you bring up information you heard from their conversation forgetting that you weren't involved, or when you laugh at a joke said by someone across the room. The removal of stains. I like to use lots of bleach and get the you must be used to cleaning up the murder scenes. I like the smell of it. If I was cleaning up a murder scene, there are way better chemicals than bleach. I'm a bit disturbed that you know of better chemicals than bleach for cleaning up murder scenes. Does it make it any better that one of my friends has a doctorate in chemistry and another is a crime scene cleaner? Walking silently. It's always a good skill to have to be able to be quiet in a moment's notice, but do it too well, and you start appearing behind people and freaking them out. How long have you been there? Type things. My so's parents' house has hardwood floors that everyone just stomps around on. I don't like making noise when I walk, so according to them, I sneak around their house and scare them unintentionally sometimes. I don't think it's really an everyday skill, but being able to tell somebody by the sound of their footsteps. When friends or family approach my door, I know who's about to knock. I love creeping them out by saying, "Come in, name here." You can tell a lot by the sound of footsteps. Who is it? Are they angry, happy, relaxed, drunk? Are they wearing shoes, heels, barefoot? Though I personally have a habit of tiptoeing everywhere. Typing. I'm definitely going to say typing. I type at a little over 150 WPM. I've been repeatedly accused of faking it, which sounds funny until it's your co-workers and boss saying it, calling your work into question. Edit. Holy crow. Thanks for my most upvoted comment. To answer a couple questions, I'm a writer. I use a QWERTY keyboard and I've been typing for a minimum of 3 hours a day for the past 16 or so years. My typing speeds have been measured in varying tests for work and school, the lowest coming in at 138 about 4 years ago, and middling out about 6 months ago at 154. The highest I've scored on any reliable test was 157 last year. Typing speeds like mine aren't all that uncommon. Certainly not as much as they used to be. Nothing special, I just type a lot. I find it much weirder that people find fast typing unlikely. It's kind of creepy chatting with someone like that through him. I spend like 15 seconds deciding how to phrase and typing out, "Did you like that one movie that came out last week?" And about 5 seconds later they respond with, "Yeah, it was better than I expected. I mean, it still wasn't the greatest movie I've seen, but I guess I'd recommend it to someone who likes that genre." It's like I'm talking to a bot. I might be that bot guy. To be fair though, it's just as annoying when the other person takes 5 minutes to type okay. In my experience in the US with people who don't have much background in science, being able to convert imperial weight to metric by knowing the conversion ratios makes them think I'm heavily involved in drugs. I wish we would switch already. The metric system is so much more intuitive. Shuffling cards. Tim, wanna play cards? Me, sure. Gambit routine with lightning speed. Tim, not for money, right? Question mark. Genuine kindness. My father was such a good soul, and people were suspicious about his kindness sometimes. Not tying. I learned from the best, a tight dominatrix down on 5th. Jackie. She never wanted me to escape, but why would I? Burn me with that wax domina. Hit me with that whip domina. Safe word was onion. There wasn't anything I wasn't willing to do for her when she had me wrapped up like Christmas present. One night, a client turned the fun on her. I found him, of course. Made some knots of my own. Gave him some knots of his own. He does not have hands anymore. He does not have eyes anymore. Guess he didn't know the safe word. Gave him some knots of his own. Oh duck me, that's brilliant. Being calm. People accuse you of being cold if you are not as agitated as they are. Same here, and the more stressful the situation, the calmer I get. Makes people wary. Picking up on small details and remembering them for months. My friends are always like, "How did you possibly remember that?" I hate that. People ask me a question, and I'm like, you asked me the same thing last week on Monday and the week before on Wednesday. You wore a black shirt that day and we discussed politics over lunch, which was a steak. But it's quite selective. There's a lot I don't remember. Knife sharpening. Unless you're a chef. Edit. Yes, I get it. People. Butchers too. I once unnerved a roommate when she walked into the kitchen and saw me casually humming while sharpening my big duck-off chef's knife. What? I just want to maintain my big duck-off chef's knife and chop garlic more efficiently. Seriously. I hate using dull knives so much. It shouldn't feel like cutting down a tree with a handsaw. People. Anything borderline fancy with twirling knives. I carry and use my pocket knives quite often and have picked up ways to easily handle them. People either assume that I'm full weeb or a serial killer. Removing clothes off of an uncooperative toddler. Have a seat over here. Interrogating someone without them knowing. I was at a school thing and one of my girl classmates really liked a guy but was too nervous to talk to him. She asked me to figure out some of his info and I ended up getting first name, last name, school, hobbies, and grade level. She was happy but more than a little creeped out about how casually I did it. My former boss told me I had this skill and she would have me go to all of the hiring events that we had. I worked for a college and have me mingle and talk among the applicants and then have me show her the ones I felt had the most promise. Whistling. I can whistle the Android text tone and it freaks people out. I can make a sound that is identical to the sound of a vibrating smartphone. It's basically a low hum through very slightly open lips and across your teeth. I used to sit in class and make this sound and people would freak out and check their backpacks or purses and the teacher would get super pissed since having a phone go off repeatedly is distracting. Running in high heels. Dudes that can run well in high heels have nothing to hide at that point. Somehow the first image that popped into my head was Terry Crews in a wig, yelling out of the way, Methodicas. So by an incidental combination of being a gearhead and at one time a tow truck driver, I'm a little more observant when it comes to cars than most. I also have a knack for numbers and memorize things unintentionally. I stop mentioning to people that I saw their car somewhere or other. The movies, for example. It's awkward explaining that I know your plate and can spot your POS. Sentra from across the parking lot. I thought that was just standard car enthusiast life. I don't know Dave. Who's that? Oh, the guy that drives a white Prius, right? Who's Jeremy? Black Camaro, right? I know like hundreds of people based solely on the cars they drive. Due to my job property management and me being a flake used to lose/forget my keys a lot, I've gotten really good at quickly breaking into houses and apartments. Everyday skill. I look at license plates. I don't know why, but it's everyday for me. But for some reason I pretty much had the license plate of the girl I liked memorized. It was easy to remember, and we worked the same place together every day, so I saw it at. One time I almost slipped and said, "Hey, we are you driving out in today?" and almost mentioned that the truck's license plate looked just like hers. I used to be a dispatcher for home hearing fuel in Juneau, Alaska, and when I meet people I'd say, "Oh, you live such and such street." I'd get an uncomfortable silence from them and have to tell them we deliver your oil. I work. Former garbage man here. Yup. Strike up a conversation with someone at a bar once who I absolutely ducking hated as a customer. These rotten pieces of shit would throw food and refuse straight into a can that I couldn't put on a tipper, meaning I have to pick up and dump 200 lbs of bullshit 6 feet in the air and dump by hand. As soon as I heard his last name I repeated the first and his address. That asshole knew. He knew. He had seen me throw that goddamned can into the middle of his yard on more than one occasion when I had rotten garbage juice running down the back of my neck because he was too lazy, stupid or cheap to use a ducking bag. I asked him politely to use a goddamn garbage bag or two and left it at that. And he did. Edit wanted to add, "I'm a former garbage man. That job is hell." At least he started using a garbage bag. It drives me bonkers that people don't do that. Recognizing faces. I was approaching the check-in counter of a hotel I didn't remember being in before when the desk clerk welcomed me by name. I was visibly startled. His coworker explained he's got a freakish memory. I checked later, I had been there 3 years before. In his job, with the thousands of faces he sees a year, that is a little disturbing. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to my channel for more curated daily Reddit stories.